Just making sure. So got a couple people joining us. We'll get started in a minute or two just to make sure we've got everybody who wants to come in. If you missed it, I did just ask people to kind of intro themselves in the chat. You probably see that trickling in. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Okay. All right. Don't see anybody else in the waiting room. So if nobody is opposed, I will go ahead and get started here with a few like housekeeping things. So first of all, thank you to everybody for attending today. I'm not sure what the count is yet on which demo day this is, but it's been a fun event. We started doing it sometime last year, and it's been a great event to showcase our um, graduates as they come out of the program. Just a couple announcements. Right now, in terms of our job placements for the whole program, we're at a little bit over 13, well, almost to 1400. We're at 1380 for our job placements, which is exciting. Um, if you are an employer, or honestly, if you're on here and have any follow-up questions for the presentations, if you'd like to get in touch, please feel free to email me. My name is Ali Rippey. I'm the Employer Relations Manager for the program. My email, I can put it in the chat a little bit later, but my email is just ali@codeu.org. Pretty simple. Um, Except Ali is spelled ALLI. That's the not simple part because there's like 30 ways to spell Ali, as we all know. Um, One thing that I wanted to highlight on this call is that we are in need of mentors for our cohorts that are starting in October, pretty much for every pathway. So if you or someone you know has one night a week to dedicate to our program, we're really in need of some volunteer mentors. We're really reliant on them to keep our program going. So on to this specific cohort. All of these students started in January 2025, January of this year, and wrapped up in August. There were a couple different pathways that you'll see represented today. We have web development with JavaScript, data analysis with Python, and the artificial intelligence pathway that was a little bit newer that is exciting. And you'll also see all of our, I believe, all of our regions represented, Greater Louisville, Greater Cincinnati, Eastern Kentucky, and Central Kentucky are all of our regions that we're able to serve with this cohort. Um, Kind of a little bit about the structure of this event. We have, let's see, 8 presentations, I believe. And they'll be about 5 or 6 minutes each. After each presentation, we'll ask a few questions of the presenter. Feel free to come off mute and ask them those questions or drop those in the chat, and we'll have the wonderful Jenny Terry, who is doing the Q&A for our event today, announce that question, and we'll go over it with them. Um, we will I'll introduce each person as we go through. And so if there's nothing that I've missed in terms of housekeeping stuff, we will go ahead and move on, starting with Mike Halsey. If you're ready, Mike, he is in Louisville and he is in the web or completed the web development pathway. Mike, are you ready for us?
Yes, I am. Thank you for the introduction.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, my everybody should be able to see my screen. Interrupt me if you can, but just wanted to start with a brief introduction. My name's Michael Halsey, but friends like Ali and future employers like you can call me Mike. So I began my coding journey with Code Louisville actually 2 years ago. So I started with the software development course, and then this year I did the web development course. I also did the AWS and cloud computing certificate. This past winter and had a really great time with that. So, um, before that, my career has mostly been in customer service, business operations, and sales. I have worked with several technology distributors, including a subsidiary of Honeywell, and that is where I earned my Lean Six Sigma green belt, and had a great time with that. And I've enjoyed translating that to coding, where I'm looking to pivot my career because I really enjoy kind of that concrete problem solving where I can put code into my IDE and see that appear on the screen to solve problems. And that brings me to my project that I'm very excited to share with you. So, like any good project, I started with a problem that I had in my life that I think everybody else might be able to relate to, and that's going to the grocery store with all the best intentions to eat healthy all week. You buy fresh vegetables, and then life gets in the way. You get to the end of the week, and you've got a rotten bag of salad or something in the crisper, right? And so I wanted to think about how to solve that. And it's relatively simple, right? Track your meals and recipes on a calendar. You know, you could do that with pen and paper, but this is a coding class. So I wanted to solve this with my coding skills. And I put that together in a meal planning single page application. I was able to combine the skills that I learned from the software development course last year and my web development course this year. So I have a back end that uses the technologies you see there under the back end section on this slide. And then I have a front end. And that's what I spent most of my time on in this class because, or for this project from this class, because we were focused on web development and doing front end. So learned how to use JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and learned a lot about React. Had a great time working with that library. And so now I'd like to show you a demonstration of the project that I put together. I've got a little video here for you that I'm going to press play, and I'll narrate as we go through this. So this starts with a login. It uses ASP.NET Identity to take a login, create your account here, using Brian as an example. Put in a password. It does password validation, and once you do click the register button, that is an API call to my backend server that I created using C Sharp. Obviously, save this here within my browser, and it does remember me and remember the credentials we just saved, and we're able to log in. Again, that's another API call to the server, and brings us to the home page of the application. The home page, of course, is a calendar. You can flip through to different months, look at different dates, and see what meals you planned. And the core of this app is adding a recipe. This is where you can select or add any recipe that you want. They're all free-form fields so that you can make sure that the recipe is how you like to do it. I'm going to enter a recipe here in this demonstration for everybody's favorite late night snack, a simple grilled cheese sandwich. And how to cook it here. So it takes a title for the recipe, a description, and then instructions for how to make it, and then a list of ingredients. And from here, just because my typing speed was a little bit slow, I'm going to skip forward a little bit to where the ingredients are going to be added. Um, Again, all of this front end stuff was done with React, putting this together. I had a really fun time learning that front end development. And I'm going to skip forward a little bit further to where the recipe gets added. So once it's been created, you do get feedback that that recipe has been successfully created. And now we can schedule our recipes. You select any day, click schedule a meal, and then you can search the database for any of the recipes that have been added. You can see I searched for a couple here to show examples, but I'll go back and I'll add that grilled cheese sandwich that we just added. So selected that, we get an alert, and I can click close, and you can see it's been added to that day. And of course, if that was an accident, you can remove that. And that is the demonstration of my single page meal planning application. Like I've said multiple times, used C Sharp for the back end and React for the front end. But within all of that, I had to learn a lot to be able to put this together because I knew surface level a lot of this information, but I learned some great new design patterns like data transfer objects for the back end and stateless components for the front end using React. But really, there were two important, impactful things that I learned. The first being how to enjoy front end development. When I was doing just back end with C Sharp, I'll be honest, I thought HTML and CSS was a real pain. I thought it was really finicky. I didn't know a library, but it's because I didn't know what I was missing. Now I've grown to really love front end development and being able to connect that to what I already knew at the back end. But second of all, what I really learned within React is how to focus on solving my own problems for my project as opposed to spending time trying to solve problems that have already been solved. For example, within this project, I didn't know what to do with that calendar. And I originally started to build it myself from scratch, looking at the individual day, what components would need. And I spent way too much time and it wasn't coming together. And then with one quick Google search, I found a React library called Full Calendar that had everything that I wanted to do. Imported that library, and I could immediately move on to incorporating what I had already done in the back end to my front end. It allowed me to just kind of make a light year jump in terms of the project being completed. And that's my project. I had, like I said, really great time. I need to give some special thanks here to Dan for kind of leading the web development class in a way that allowed me to accelerate my own personal learning. Special thanks to everybody else at Code Louisville, Ali, Brian, Shannon, for enabling us to be able to do this. And then one last thank you to my dog Birdie, who is pictured here. She knew just when I needed to go for a walk so that I could overcome the obstacle I was facing in that moment. So thank you so much for your time, everybody. Really enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a lot from my project and what I was able to put together.
Awesome.
Awesome presentation, Mike. I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
How would your experience in performance management and sales benefit you in a web dev or software dev role?
Oh, it's definitely going to be connecting to end users or customers. Because I spent a significant portion of my career talking directly to people who are using the products I'm selling them, I feel like I have a really great rapport and understanding of about how to get to the really the question behind the question that customers are asking. Because customers and users never come to you and say, here's exactly what I want, here's exactly how you'd program it. You need to ask some follow-up questions to understand what it is that they're getting at and what problem you can help them solve. And that's what I believe that I can bring to this, world of software development and web development.
Awesome. Great job, Mike.
Thank you, Jenny.
Awesome. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We can always circle back if you've come up with something that you want to ask about Mike or about his presentation. But moving forward, our next presenter is Juan Song, also in the web development pathway and presenting from Lexington. Juan, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Huan Song. My project is Hello Universe, a web app built as part of the CodeU web development pathway. I'm based in Lexington, Kentucky, with experience in microscopes and image analysis. After taking time off to raise my children, I'm returning to the workforce and transitioning into a tech career. For my project, my goal was to use high-quality public resources and combine curated content with interactive visualizations to make scientific data and imagery accessible and engaging. The app is built with Next.js, TypeScript, and CSS. It has 4 key features, each with its own page, and is responsive and mobile first. The What's Up feature shows the latest monthly sky watching tips video, fetched from NASA's YouTube playlist. The video is cached for the month and displayed with its title and description. The iPod calendar shows the astronomy picture of the day in a month's view using the React calendar library. Monthly data is fetched from NASA's iPod API and cached in local storage. Click a date opens a modal that handles 4 cases. It displays the image, embeds the YouTube video, and links to NASA's archive for non-YouTube videos or other media types. The Mars rover timeline shows each rover as a flip card. sorted by landing date. Users can filter by status and click a card to see camera usage and reference data. The D3 chart shows how often each camera was used, grouped by category. Hovering shows details in the sidebar, and the legend lets users toggle categories. The camera reference table fetches metadata from the Notion API and is built using the React Super Responsive table. The table is sorted by category for easy reference. The contact page lets users send messages. Emails are sent through the Resend API with Zod validation. Arrows are displayed in a single block to prevent layout shifts. One big challenge was to keep the code organized as I added features. I reorganized multiple times and decided to co-locate components by feature, which made the project more maintainable and easier to scale. One key lesson I learned is the principle of don't repeat yourself. I learned to reuse components, logic, and CSS variables, which keeps the project cleaner, easier to maintain, and scale. For example, in the Mars rover feature, I used the dynamic routing. By passing the rover name as a parameter, I only had to write the code once, and it works for all rovers. That's all for my demo. Here's how to get in touch. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Juan. Do we have anybody that had questions for
Oh,
Juan?
sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, that's okay.
Juan, great job. With your diverse yet interconnecting background in biotechnology, molecular and cellular biology, and now web development, what are some of your future plans to help bolster your portfolio and your knowledge base?
I plan to keep building projects that combine science and technology, including a calendar showing satellite Earth images, and another tracking moon phases. I just love science. And I've also started another computer science course, and I know there will be more projects to help me grow my skills. Thank you again for CodeU for this great learning opportunity.
That sounds awesome, Juan. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks for sharing. All right, up next, we've got Ryan Gibson, also in the web development. We're stacked on web development with Ryan and the next presenter as well. Ryan is also in Louisville. Ryan, you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
I see that I'm supposed to see Ryan Gibson's screen, but it looks black to me. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, it's black to me
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It said Ryan Gibson's screen, but I didn't see any slides. Odd, we just did this.
There we go.
There we go.
I know, that's all.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, sorry about
Perfect.
that, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan, and my project is called Filtra. Filtra is a full stack web application that allows users to upload images and apply filters like black and white, sepia, and like removing the background in a simple and intuitive way. A little bit about me. I'm currently working in cash logistics as a supervisor at Brinks. I've been interested into getting into software development and have spent like the last 2 years learning about making and designing software. I've worked in a couple of languages, including C, Python, JavaScript, and worked with SQL databases. I've currently completed 2 software development courses, Harvard CS50, and just recently Code U. So with that out of the way, let's dive into Filtra. We'll begin with why did I build this? Well, many photo editing tools require desktop software and can be complicated to use to achieve simple effects. I wanted to build a clean browser-based way where anyone could quickly enhance images without knowing all the ins and outs of professional software like GIMP or Photoshop. Since I was building a full stack web app, I had to put together a tech stack. On the client side, I went with Vue because I liked its component-based approach and paired it with Tailwind CSS, which let me style components right into my HTML. For the server, I used Express.js and added Multer to handle image uploads from users. To process those images, I brought in Sharp, which is a really handy JavaScript library for image manipulation. And to finish things off, I integrated AppyHub's API, which uses AI models to automatically remove backgrounds from images. So let's examine the system architecture to get an understanding on how data flows through the application. When a client uploads an image, it is attached with their filter type to the uploads endpoint. From there, the image can take 2 different routes. If the client chooses to remove the background, it is sent to the AppyHub API endpoint for processing. If they chose any other filter, it would be processed by the server with the Sharp image processing library. The end result is a filtered image that is saved on the server and sent back to the client. While making this project, I ran into some issues that I had to figure out a solution for. One of the main issues I had to figure out was how to save files on the server in a way that let clients view a history of their images, along with the filter type and the time each image was uploaded. My solution was to create a custom naming system for the files by prepending the current time to the file name and add the filter type at the end and use dashes as a delimiter. With this approach, the file name itself stores all the key information, which makes it easy to display the upload time and filter used when showing users image history. Another problem I had to solve was figuring out how to talk to the server and get back the right data. Specifically, I wanted my history endpoint to only return the last 5 images. To be able to do this, I set up local variables on the client to track how many images should be retrieved and pass those values into my get images function. That function sends an index range to the server, and the server responds with the images that fall within that range. After that, the range updates and makes it possible to load more images on demand if there is more images to load. Now, that was just a quick overview of my web app. I had a lot of fun building this project, and I'm always excited to tackle new challenges. If you would like to connect, feel free to reach out via email or LinkedIn. You can also check out my GitHub to see other projects I've worked on. And thank you for your time.
Awesome job, Ryan. So I would like to know, if you were to go back and redo your project completely, what changes would you make?
Actually kind of a hard one. So I would probably change kind of like how I set up my components. I feel like I should probably refactor a lot of it to separate them more to make them more reusable. If I would have to say redo everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a great presentation.
Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Jenny. Next up, we have, I believe our last web dev presenter is Evan Wheeler, and he's coming to us from Versailles, Kentucky.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Evan Wheeler. I am based in Versailles, Kentucky, just outside of Lexington and Frankfort, also near to Louisville. and I'm completing the CodeU Bluegrass program as a portion of my journey back into software engineering. Over the past year, I've completed 3 boot camps: Awesome Inc., Tech Elevator, and CodeU Bluegrass. In the past, I've studied engineering at the University of Louisville and computer science at the University of Kentucky. Professionally, I have worked as an associate engineer with 10 plus years in software development, 10 plus years in information technology, and 5 plus years in logistics and inventory management. I've always been passionate about problem solving and technology, and my goal is to build impactful applications while continuing to grow as a full stack developer. I joined CodeU to deepen my full stack foundation with a focus on front end, HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript, along with Node.js and Express for building and consuming REST APIs. I wanted to move beyond isolated exercises by shipping real features, asynchronous data fetching, responsive layouts, and deployment. The program also let me practice Git and GitHub workflows, code reviews, and collaborative delivery. My capstone project is a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition toolkit inspired by a game I've enjoyed for many years in all of its variations. D&D blends creativity, storytelling, and numbers, much like programming itself. Early on, its use of math sparked my appreciation for the power of computation, eventually guiding me towards calculus, physics, computer science, and ultimately software engineering. With this project, I set out to build a tool that makes the game more accessible for both players and dungeon masters, while also challenging myself with API integration, asynchronous data handling, and modern responsive design in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So here we're going to take a look at the application itself, what could be known as an SPA or single page application. And you can see responsive design with the nav bar there, as well as various buttons. The main element of the page, along with some art from a Kentucky artist there, Larry Elmore. Here we have the Dungeon Master's Guide, along with an embedded PDF of the actual source material. This way players don't have to lug around books. They can simply pull it out of their pocket. We then have integration of the API endpoints. Now, in some of these areas, it's kind of lean, such as the Dungeon Master's Guide here, but you have meaningful presentation of that JSON data. Here we have the player's handbook, again, the embedded PDF, so you can dereference what's in the API. Again, the API is kind of lean, so it's important to have something there to cross-reference what is available. And again, there's endpoints embedded. Here, for example, we have classes, and among those classes, we have Druid. And displaying the Druid details in a little more meaningful manner than just a JSON blob object. We can then proceed to the monster manual. This is where the API really shines. Once again, we have the monster manual PDF available to cross-reference. Say, for example, we want to look at gargoyle. We can pull that up within the PDF. We can also then search for that entity within the API database. There you have the stat sheet available along with the image presented. And again, this allows you to cross-reference from the source material to the API. Furthermore, we can fetch all monsters from the API. This is where you actually begin to fetch all of the monsters. This was done in an asynchronous manner so that we avoided 429 too many request errors, basically hammering at the API. And you can see it proceeds there. So now we'll proceed to the character sheet. The character sheet allows you to manage yours or other character sheets. You can import and export the character sheets to a text file as a JSON object. This could easily be modified to work with a backend via JDBC or the like, where those JSON objects are communicated to a database, and I have done that. Here we have some dice rolling. You can roll numerous dice of various types. You can also save those to a file. We can also then go to dungeon dice. This would allow procedural generation of dungeon elements, dungeon conditions, etc. Hit dice of good and bad misses, and those effects of those hits. NPC dice, here we can randomly generate NPCs such as the female monk dwarf you see here. And this just kind of gets the creative, juices flowing so that you can do that on the fly. Here we get into the API. You can actually search here. It's a little time consuming, so I'm not going to display that for us, but very thorough. Here we have a mini postman. You can actually go through those JSON objects as links. Very similar to Postman for those of you who are familiar with it. There you can see the raw JSON object, not exactly dereferenced, but is available. We then go to the API endpoints, and you guys have seen these. These were parsed throughout the various sections of the source material, where again you can see meaningful presentation of that data. We then get into links for the 5th edition API. This is the one that I used, the D&D official store, D&D Beyond, and that's their digital platform, somewhat akin to what you see going on here, Wizards of the Coast. And lastly, a legal section discussing how all of this was produced under the OGL or Open Gaming License, and much of the material you see here was available through the Internet Archive as a free and fair use type material. I bring extensive industry experience with both a strong academic and technical foundation. I enjoy solving complex problems, whether in databases, APIs, or responsive design, while ensuring results are polished and user-friendly. I thrive in collaboration, adapt to Agile and Git workflows, and stay sharp through continuous learning. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you'd like to connect, you can reach me at evanwheeler02@gmail.com or find me on LinkedIn at evan-wheeler-engineer. Alternatively, you can take a look at my projects via GitHub under the user Milieusz, Milieusz. I'd be happy to talk more about the project or my background. Thank you for your time today. One final shout out to Dan Collins and Blake Herbert. Really appreciate the oversight and opportunity to learn with you guys.
Great job, Evan. So I know you have a background in computer science, but what new things did you learn about coding or maybe about yourself as a result of completing your project and gaining one of these elite spots for demo day?
Thank you, Jenny. I would respond by saying that my experience with JavaScript has been, and modern responsive design has been expanded. I'm an old school guy. I did a lot of web design some time ago. That said, I went into OOP programming and more traditional programming languages and kind of let those web development skills gather dust. So dusting all that off, modern responsive web design with extensive use of JavaScript has been my kind of recent foray back into it.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Thank you so much. Great job.
Awesome, Evan. Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably use this, that I know at least. Next up, we have Brent Rainwater, who is in Somerset, Kentucky. Brent was actually in our artificial intelligence class. Brent, are you ready to share here?
I think so. Let me get everything
Awesome.
prepared. Just a moment. All right. Can you see this?
Yep, I can see you.
Okay, I'm going to start out with a demo because I think that I can show you all. This is my project. It's called HeartSense AI. I am a monitor tech. I have worked in healthcare for over 10 years, and in that time, I have sat behind a desk watching patient monitoring systems and responding to alarms. And I know firsthand the challenges that clinicians face when those alarms never stop. My background also includes training patients and staff in cardiac devices. So I've lived this problem from both the clinical and the training and technical side. And now through CodeU, I've built a solution that draws on both my experience in healthcare and AI skills that I've learned. This project is called HeartSense AI, and I call it confidence that cuts through the noise. What you see before you is just a monitoring system. But should the patient go into a lethal rhythm, say ventricular tachycardia, it goes ahead and grabs it. Now, with that being said, if that was not a high risk alarm, it would totally ignore that just so that the clinician would be able to go about their business. Let me get back out of here and go into my PowerPoint. I will go ahead and share this. All right. Like I said, I'm from Somerset, Kentucky. I'm the CodeU AI track. My background's in healthcare, and I have a passion for tech. Okay, and I've been through this. My it's called HeartSense AI, confidence that cuts through the noise. And for those of you who don't know about alarm fatigue, it's a crisis that plagues a lot of hospitals. It's so bad that the Joint Commission made it a national safety goal. Every hospital deals with a flood of false or non-critical alarms every day. The problem is that the more that alarms go off, the more staff tunes them out. And when that happens, the chance of missing a truly life-threatening alarm goes up. So it's not just a technical glitch, it's a human problem and a safety risk. There, give me one moment to turn that off. I'm so sorry. All right, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so it's AI driven, so it's and the goal is to prevent clinician burnout and also alarm overload. Under the hood, it's a web app built with Flask. That's the engine that runs the program, and it uses several machine learning libraries like Scikit, which trains the system to recognize normal alarms. NumPy and Pandas crunch the EKG data, and visualization tools like Matplotlib and Plotly create the waveforms that you saw. The interface is built with simple HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it's simple, scalable, and you can integrate it with current and existing systems. And I showed you the live demo earlier. So what it does is it uses AI-driven intelligent filters to differentiate between an alarm that's got a lead off that will constantly ring and a lethal alarm. So you can address each one accordingly. And it alerts clinicians to critical issues only. What it does is it can reduce alarms, false alarms up to 80%, and it can maintain the focus on genuine emergencies. It learns this for better accuracy, and it restores the clinician's confidence in monitoring system. Some of the benefits are that it can prevent overload staff, it can enhance patient safety and speeds up response to critical situations, and it can connect to existing hospital systems. Plus, it may lower litigation and compliance risk. Some future potential plans are I'm working on a predictive compensation detection to anticipate patient decline. It can be used, it can be portable for use in ICU, step-down transport, home and EMS systems. It can be integrated into Bluetooth and wireless systems, and eventually proprietary equipment and systems for hospital and remote care. And should you all want to see any demonstrations or have any other questions, I can be reached at brentusmaximus@gmail.com. My website is brentrainwater.com. And thank you to Code U for this opportunity.
Thanks, Brent. Great job.
Thank you.
With artificial intelligence becoming more prevalent, how do you see this technology in healthcare evolving in the coming years?
I don't think it's going to cut out people. I know people think that AI is going to take over, but if your body has to show up for a job, especially like a nursing job or a tech job, I don't think that artificial intelligence is going to take over. I think it can be used to assist with it and help, but I don't think that it's going to be able to take over a clinician's job. It may be used in place of or to assist with diagnostics in other parts of medicine, but as far as taking over, no.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Thanks, Brent. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you all.
We have 3 more presenters this afternoon. Next we've got Ashley Skidmore. Ashley was in our data analysis track, and she's coming from Ashland, Kentucky. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hi, everybody. Like Allie said, my name is Ashley Skidmore. I am from Ashland, Kentucky, and I was a student in the data analysis pathway. My background is in higher education, where I started as an English professor, and then during the pandemic shifted my work more over into institutional effectiveness, which is an area where I work with grants, I manage projects, and I contribute to reports. I chose to enroll in CodeU because the skills they teach in data analytics really dovetailed with the things that I already do in my current job. So I felt like it was a way to make me better at my current job, but also open doors for future opportunities. My current experience is also what led me to my capstone project. The college where I work started an associate degree program at a local correctional facility earlier this year, and I thought that it might be interesting to look into the data on incarcerated Kentuckians so that I could share insights with the college and our stakeholders. And so I have Prison to Profession, which explores educational gaps for incarcerated Kentuckians and how those relate to future employment opportunities. For this project, I looked at occupational outlook data from KY Stats and demographic and housing data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. I used Python and Pandas to explore and clean my data, and then I saved my clean data as tables in a SQLite database, which also allowed me to use SQL to merge them as needed for the visualizations I created in a variety of Python libraries. And when I was done, I decided to take 3 of my main plots and recreate them as a Tableau dashboard because I felt that that would be a better way to share with non-tech people what I had learned. In the plot on the left, you can see a comparison of the education achievements of incarcerated Kentuckians versus non-incarcerated Kentuckians. And this shows that if you are incarcerated in Kentucky, you are far less likely to have any sort of post-secondary credential. On the right, we take a look at employment, whether people have high demand, high wage jobs, both or neither. Again, we're comparing the 2 populations, incarcerated versus non-incarcerated, and you can see that if you're incarcerated, you are far less likely to have a high wage job. Interestingly, they have a lot of high demand jobs, but these are apparently jobs that don't pay very well. And we can bring these 2 insights together by looking at high wage, high demand jobs and what educational level they require as educational experience. And so in this heat map, you can see if a job is high wage, high demand, or both, and how many jobs are listed in the occupational outlook data for each educational level for these categories. One good piece of news for the college that I work at is that an associate's degree does fairly well, even on its own. If somebody were to complete an associate's degree with us and then in the future transfer somewhere to do a bachelor's degree, that's actually the best square on the entire heat map. But something I learned that I didn't expect was that the post-secondary non-degree award actually has a decent amount of opportunities as well. These would be things like certificates and diplomas. And this is especially useful for us because certificates and diplomas don't take as long to get. So if you're working with people who are incarcerated and you don't necessarily know or have a uniform amount of time that you'll be working with various people, a certificate or a diploma might actually be a great way to go. We can also stack those kinds of credentials on top of each other and embed them within a degree program. So that was a really great insight from this overall analysis. In addition to learning about incarcerated Kentuckians, I learned so much about data analysis, how to think about data, how to learn new skills and tools along the way. Every single day I was learning something new. One great example was preparing my data to be merged. When I wanted to merge the census data with the occupational outlook data, I was going to do it on a shared job code column, but I found that the job codes used by one source followed a different system than the other. Luckily, I found a crosswalk, but unfortunately that crosswalk was literally just thousands of rows. So if I wanted to make some sort of mapping dictionary, there is no way that I could type all of that in to change one value to another to make them match. So I learned several things just in these 2 lines of code that you can see. First, I created a data frame using the Excel sheet, which I did already know how to do. But for this, I learned that you can specify which sheet within a workbook you want to look at, as well as which row you want to begin, because this particular Excel sheet didn't start on row 1. So those were 2 things that I learned there. And then the big lesson from this experience was being able to use that data frame to create a mapping dictionary by using the zip function to say, hey, I want you to take this column and this column and literally just kind of zip them together like the teeth of a zipper so that we're changing one code to the other. And in addition to this particular problem, which was probably the trickiest thing that I did, I was learning new stuff every day, but mainly I learned how to guide my own learning and how to get the confidence to know that I could do that, so that in the future, when I'm working on other projects, when I face problems, I'll know how to solve them. I'm going to figure it out and learn what I need to learn. If you want to look more closely at my work, I have my GitHub and my Tableau linked here. And if you want to learn more about me, my contact info is there as well. So thank you for attending today and letting me talk to you about my project.
Excellent job, Ashley. So having a background primarily in English and education, what was the key inspiring factor that made you want to learn more about data analytics?
Okay, well, as I said before, I really shifted my work during the pandemic. So we all had extra time on our hands. And we were like baking bread and doing podcasts and stuff, which I did, all of those things. But I was also thinking about how I could use this extra time to expand my skills professionally. And I noticed that a lot of other colleges had grant directors. My college did not. And I asked, hey, could I do that? Because I had also read that a lot of people with English backgrounds get into grants. When I started working with grants, I learned that it was actually very data heavy, both pre and post award, lots of data. And I also learned that I liked it. I thought it was really interesting. Grants live within institutional effectiveness where I work. And so I had lots of other opportunities to say, hey, in addition to what I'm doing over here, could I maybe get in on that? Or can I do this or that or the other? And I just find it fascinating. I feel like an archaeologist with a little brush, and every day I'm just uncovering something new.
I love that. I would not be interested in doing anything grant related. So I totally appreciate that there are people in this world that would love to do that. Excellent job.
Awesome. We did have another question in the chat for Brent from Philip. Do we want to do that now before we move on to the next presenter so it's fresh in our brains?
Sure, go ahead. I missed it, so if you can
It
see
looks
it.
like he says, Philip says, Brent, what ML algorithm did you use for training and classifying the charts?
There's one, and I had written it down. It's Physio Control. It's a database, and I used it a little bit, and I linked it in to that. It's got some EKGs that are that they have gotten over time, and it kind of reads those and
Cool.
plots those out.
Great.
There are several out there, but that's one of them that I can actually look at and tell you that I used. There's some others, but that's the one that comes to mind right now.
Awesome. Great.
All right.
Next up, we have Sahila Devi Dina Diallo from Cincinnati. She was in our data analysis cohort, and she's also got a health-related project. Go ahead, Sahila Devi.
Thank you, Erin. Hello, everyone. My name is Sahala Devi Deenadayalu. I'm excited to present my project Health Track Analytics, which examines how lifestyle, socio-economic factors, and access to healthcare influence health outcomes among US adults. My background combines Bachelor in Engineering and Master in Psychology and Caregiving experience, giving me both strong problem-solving skill and a deep understanding of the human side of health. I joined CodeU to strengthen my data analytics skill and apply them to real-world challenges. My project tackles the growing crisis of chronic disease like diabetics, obesity, and hypertension. I used a data-driven approach to link lifestyle, socio-economic factors to health outcomes and identify effective intervention points. I worked with 2 comprehensive datasets, 12 enhanced 2021 to 2023 datasets covering demographics, lifestyle, and socioeconomic information for over 6,000 adults, and an USDA food patterns equivalent database to calculate a healthy eating index. I then integrated the enhanced datasets using the participant ID. That in enhanced, they use the sequence to create an unified dataset for analysis. My project followed a structured process. I cleaned and prepared multiple datasets, created features like income groups, healthy eating index, and automated parts of the workflow in a master Jupyter notebook. The clean data state was stored in a SQLite database, merged, and I waited for population representative result. I then applied a regression model in Python and ran analysis to explore lifestyle habits and health outcomes across demographics. This slide highlights key technical work I performed. I developed Python functions to clean and prepare raw data, used SQL to structure it into an organized tables by health indicators, and applied a predictive regression model in Python to analyze outcomes like obesity based on factors such as income, gender. This demonstrates my ability to combine coding, database management, and statistical modeling to generate actionable insights. I faced technical challenges such as managing multiple data sets, handling missing data, and applying survey weights. I overcome this by implementing robust data cleaning protocols and using advanced weighting methods to ensure accurate population representative result. This experience strengthened my problem-solving skills and confidence in handling complex data. My analysis revealed several key insights. Lifestyle strongly influences health, with diet quality and physical activity significantly affecting indicators like BMI and blood pressure. Socioeconomic factors such as income and education also play a major role in shaping health outcomes. Additionally, the disparities persist across different demographics, highlighting the importance of targeted intervention. So, how do we act on these insights? First, make healthy living easier by improving food access, creating safe parks, and promoting workplace wellness. Second, address systemic gaps through school and community programs. Third, communicate respectfully and effectively using trusted voice. And fourth, expand healthcare access with preventive care and community clinics. The slide shows the Streamlit dashboard. I built an interactive dashboard tool that tells users explore my findings with sections for distributions, associations, and key insights. The Python code, which I showed in my slide, shows the logic behind the dashboard, making it dynamic and interactive and user-friendly. Here in my dashboard, I had a section of 8 objectives. That 8 objectives has linked with its own outcome. Each outcome have its own plots and summary reports, which I got from after running the regression model. Based on that regression model, whatever the finding I got it, I stored it in the key finding sections. I used 3 tabs to show my results. Finally, I come up with another final objective sections as intervention. There I consolidate all the objectives, whatever so far I done. There I given the recommendations. Sorry. This work shows that complex health data can be turned into actionable insights that improve outcomes and inform equity-focused policies. This method can scale to support long-term prevention strategy. My strength as a data analyst is combining technical expertise with human insights to create solutions that drive better health and lasting impact. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and you can connect with me through my email, GitHub, or LinkedIn. Thank you so much for Kodu for organizing such an opportunity for us.
Great job, Sahila Devi. So were your findings surprising, or did they align with what you initially thought would be the result?
Some of my results lined up with what I expected. For example, the data confirmed that the lifestyle and socio-economic difference drive major health gaps, such as that higher BMI and blood pressure risk in certain groups. What surprised was that some factors I thought would be a stronger predictors, like sleep for BMI and diet for cholesterol, turned out not to be as straightforward. Those unexpected patterns showed me that health disparities are complex, which is why our recommendations focus on more tailored group-specific intervention rather than one size fits all approach.
Yes, yes. Great job on your presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you both. Thank you, Sayla Debbie.
Yeah.
Next we have, last but not least, of course, is Jonathan Chadwell. Jonathan was in our data analysis track, and he is coming to us from Lexington.
Hello, everyone. Very honored to be here today. My name is Jonathan Chadwell. My background is a mix of healthcare analytics and real estate, where I've developed strong skills in working with data, problem solving, and communicating insights. Over time, I've grown passionate about data analytics and visualization, which is why I chose to focus my capstone project on exploring patterns in real world data. My goal now is to continue building a career in data analytics where I can take complex data and turn it into clear, actionable insights. I joined CodeU because I wanted to build on my analytical skills, especially with coding in Python and working with real world data. My goal was to strengthen my ability to take complex data sets, clean them, and turn them into meaningful insights. And why did I choose this project? So, having a background in healthcare, I've always been interested in how socioeconomic factors affect health. Historically, income levels have been linked to health outcomes. So, I wanted to explore whether that pattern showed up during the COVID-19 pandemic in Kentucky counties. By combining COVID-19 cases and deaths with median income data, I wanted to see how income tiers were connected to how communities experienced the pandemic. I gathered data from three sources: county level COVID 19 cases and deaths from the New York Times, and both median household income and population data sets came from the US Census Bureau. Between the three data sets, there were over 2 million rows and 40 columns of data. I filtered it down to just Kentucky counties, removed an unknown county, and cleaned extra text and notes so that the data sets would merge correctly. I used tools. The tools I used was VS Code and Jupyter Notebook for my coding. I used Python libraries like Pandas for cleaning the data. Matplotlib was used for creating visualizations, and SQLite to merge the data sets. For the methods, I merged the three data sets using SQLite, linking them by county. I then standardized the COVID-19 cases and deaths per 1,000 people to make comparisons between counties fair. Finally, I created visualizations to help identify patterns between income levels and COVID-19 outcomes. So I ran into my biggest challenge when I used Python to sort cases by county. The top two were Jefferson and Fayette County, which would make sense since they are the two most populous counties in Kentucky. And I needed to come up with a methodology to compare counties of different sizes. After researching, I found that calculating cases and deaths per 1,000 people was the best way to have an accurate comparison. And this is the standard also used by the CDC and the World Health Organization. And to compare the counties fairly, I grouped them into income tiers based on their median household income. Counties with less than $20,000 were classified as below poverty level. 20,000 to just under 40,000 is low income, 40,000 just under 75,000 is middle income, and $75,000 or more is high income. This made it easier to see patterns in COVID-19 cases and deaths across different economic levels. So this is one of the 6 plots that I made. These are bar graphs that show the average COVID-19 cases and deaths per 1,000 people across Kentucky counties, broken down by income tiers. What we can see is that counties in the lower income tier had noticeably higher case rates compared to middle and high income counties. When it comes to deaths, we can see that there is a noticeable difference between low, middle, and high income counties. This suggests that income levels may have influenced how severely communities were impacted during the pandemic. So in conclusion, when we look at Kentucky counties by income tier, there's a consistent trend. Lower income areas experienced higher COVID-19 case and death rates per 100,000 people compared to middle and high income tiers. The analysis doesn't prove income alone caused the difference, but it does show that socioeconomic conditions strongly correlate with health outcomes. Overall, the project highlights how data can uncover patterns that match what we often see in public health discussions. One of the biggest things I learned was how important it is to clean and structure data properly before any analysis can happen. I spent a lot of time making sure the counties matched across different data sets, handling missing values, and creating consistent columns. I also learned the value of using SQL and Python. It gave me flexibility to merge data sets in different ways and showed me how databases and data frames can work together. And finally, I learned how visualizations can really tell the story. The raw numbers don't mean much on their own, but when I plotted them, the trends became clear and easy to explain. This project helped me practice both the technical and analysis side both the technical side of analysis and the communication side, taking complex data and sharing it in a way that anyone can understand. And that concludes my project presentation. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you'd like to connect or see more of my work, here's my contact information. I've got my email, my GitHub, and LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great job, John. Work-life balance is important. Can you tell us about some of the ways that you were able to juggle your day-to-day life while at the same time taking care of your family, home, and yourself while completing this project?
Time blocking is huge. I use my calendar on my phone in my app, and just if it was on my calendar, always say if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And so I always make sure to have time where there is free time to really focus on when I was working on the project and going through CodeU. That's the biggest thing that was allowed me to be successful, because I do struggle with that until I learned how to use a calendar successfully. And I think that really contributed to the success of this course for myself.
That sounds like a great plan. Thank you so much. Great job on your presentation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that concludes all of our presenters for today. Everybody did such a great job. I want to thank everybody for attending. Thank you to my CodeU colleagues for all the work we did and you all did for getting ready for this event. And thanks again to the presenters. To everybody who is registered, please expect a recording of this event, as well as a resume folder for employers and links to view our graduate database. If you would like, I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you'd like to reach out and have any questions about the program or about just any of the presentations today, feel free to reach out to me via email or any other standard contact if you're already in touch with someone on our team. Our next demo day will be in January, so keep an eye out for that. We also may have an event for our artificial intelligence class to kind of highlight some more of those projects and those participants, so keep an eye out for that one as well. Anything else from the CodeU team before we call it a day?
I'll just jump in real quick. I can't be in front of a
Sure.
group and not say thank you to some people. So first of all, if anybody doesn't know me, I'm Brian Lorman. I'm the program director for CodeU, and always love seeing the final projects presented. And I do just want to offer a congratulations and a round of applause again to all of our presenters today for all their fantastic projects. So virtual or emoji reactor or whatever your choice of congratulations is. But I also want to thank the community for coming out and supporting the program. We have students, current students and graduates. We have mentors. We have employers, you name it, that are here. But of course, I do also want to make the plea to the community that we are a community supported program and we are always in need of support. So as Ali said at the beginning, we are looking for mentors for our classes that are about to start in just a couple weeks, our pathways, as well as the January classes. So if you're able to help get word out about that, we would love to have you or your colleagues or what have you. And of course, we've got tons of people that are looking for jobs. So always want to get those connections into employers and whatnot. Reach out to Allie or me or whoever you know in the program, and we will be happy to tell you more about the program and get you connected to tons of our students that are out there looking. But otherwise, just thank you so much for your support and coming here to watch these projects. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Thanks, everyone.